Hey, you're listening to the SBC. Number, I'm late and I forgot what it is. I'm your host, SB. And just fair warning, there's not going to be much talk of pastel horses today. There will be, but this one's more about the group. Since things have changed lately, I am going through a lot of personal change. For the better, of course. And that leads us to this discussion. Things need to be addressed. And because of that, it's time to address them. And I figure I'll use the most least effective way. Because I'm sure the majority of my members don't actually listen to these. And if they do, hey, good on you. You're learning and listening at the same time. So, the first big old pink elephant in the room. Financial. It's a problem. I've sat down, I've done my budgeting. I was foolish and I threw it all on the website and offered everybody to kind of look at it, poke around, say, hey, you forgot to put this or that in, and, kind of revise things, figure out where my budget is to run the group and pay the bills and all that. And I had some family look it over. I realized after a while, with only 3 views on that thread, and most of them, if not all of them, being just me, I removed it from the site. I talked it over with family. We reviewed things. We figured out a bunch of stuff. And it looks like I'm not going to have money to be able to afford internet, regular internet at my apartment. And I'm just gonna probably use the school's internet, and I'll be half a mile away from school. I pay $10 a semester for internet access, so I can just sit there, drag my laptop, plug it into the wall in the commons area, and just piddle around there. It's not powerful enough to run most games on because I designed it by that. I didn't want something I could use to be distracted. I wanted something I could use as a tool for work and school. Since that's what happens when you're nearly 30. You make wiser, but not necessarily fun decisions. And I still don't know where that lands the group, because I am probably going to look into getting a part-time weekend job, because my school's only going to be Monday to Thursdays. Our campus is always kind of closed on classes, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Library's open on Friday and Saturday for various things. And I could still run the site, I could still chum around and be buddy-buddy with people. But the problem is that I won't be able to afford an MMO sub. It looks like at this moment with my initial draft of the budgeting. Well, actually, it's finalized at this point. And I definitely won't be able to afford site hosting, because hosting the site usually runs me about $80 to $100. TeamSpeak, that nobody's used in over a year basically, that runs me about $22, $25 a year. Domain name is about $13, $15, give or take, by taxes and all that good stuff. And I want to continue it. It's just that at the moment, with no income except for the student loans I'm getting ready to be piled under, I need to be responsible. So, I don't know. I'm not fully certain. I'm not going to say the group dies, because worst comes to worst, I can just slap the the domain over on a Google blog like I've done before. Nobody really bothers to check the site anyway, half the time. So I could just use that, write some little horsey news articles here and there, and some game articles. And have a link to the Steam community that doesn't really get any hits. I could do that. That's an option. That would only be about $13 a year or so, because it would just be the domain name, and It's better than nothing, at least. I could probably jury rig something for a TeamSpeak on there if the need ever really arised. Let me talk a little more about the group itself, because now we have the financial on the table. We all kind of see where I'm at and where we're at as a group. The group itself, though. First off, it's been a Final Fantasy XIV group. That's nice, it has some appeal, but at the same time, we're a niche within a niche, because we're a pony group in 14. So we're really, really specialized. And I think that's partly what's hurting us right now. My dream, if I could have it, is that we would become a nice, big, general gaming site. We'd just have a bunch of little bronies and Pegasisters and horse fans and everybody else just kind of piling together. We'd be like the game FAQs or whatever of the horse community. We'd all have fun. We'd be nice and friendly towards each other. Nobody would be stealing my artwork that I paid $45 for to jack up the price of my website and all that. Because that totally happened. And, yeah. But as it is right now, we have a very, very, very narrow appeal. Because, I mean, people, they might have like a pony link shell or something we don't know about. And they still have their close-knit group of friends in their free company. Or maybe they're like Rama, whatever his name was. Sorry, it's just been a bit. The guy who just left us because, oh no, people didn't log in for 2 days or so, and he's done because his buddy who was looking to leave and make his own link shell free company or join another one, didn't want to put in an application and join a My Little Pony fan group website for 14. Just saying it and thinking about it. I can understand that. At the same time, though, I use all that to kind of filter through people. Like, I know the trolling against the pony fans has died down and all that. And by this point in the game, not 14, but I mean the game of life, that the people that used to have a beef with the group when we were on Ultros, they're not going to actually come back by this point and try to troll us or anything by now. It's just, I want it nice, tidy order. I don't know. I'm weird like that. So that's why we have the applications and that whole due process going on. Because I like to keep things nice and orderly, and lately my last big push was to go and try to get people more involved on the site to make it look more appealing to outside members who would be looking at us on forums and whatnot. Because we still get about 40 to 60 hits a day. Roughly, at least that. Usually, on average, we're doing either 20 to 40 hits, or we're pushing up into the upper 50s, and a couple of times here lately, we've actually pushed into the high 70s on daily unique hits. So, there's clearly people looking at us. People watching that site. And I have no idea how to reel them in. Make them one of us. Make them feel welcome. Make them feel comfortable. I don't know how that should work. And that's led me to a lot of thinking. Maybe my ideas aren't the best ideas. I'm pretty sure they're not. Since once upon a time, many, many moons ago, I was moderator on many anal retentive forums, is the nice way to put it. Where you live and die by the rules, and they had close-knit communities and all that. Because that's what the internet was back in the early 2000s. If we didn't have MySpace and Blogger and everything else, everybody, if you want to be a community, you basically went to a place that was a community. And I was really strict about the rules, and I always enforced them. And that carried over into me being an administrator. I stick by what works. Or what used to work anyway. Times have changed, I haven't. So, anyway, group expansion. Because we're such a small, narrow kind of group, I have this notion in my head that if I go and expand into something else, that will go and strengthen the group overall. Like when I said I'm done with 14 and I want to make a Eve group, I genuinely wanted to do an Eve group. Because, as I see it, there's no reason at all to have a free company in 14. Sure, you might get EXP boost or something like that, but it's so negligible. You can get 5% from the free company, or you can just pop some food for 20 gil and have, what, 3%? Have your rested EXP and all that too. You really don't need a free company. There's nothing that binds us together as a free company. We're just a glorified chat room that really doesn't get much chatting, because nobody has much to say to each other. As a group, I don't feel the 14 free company really has a reason to exist. I know Heaven's Ward's going to come out in the next couple of months, or supposedly anyway. There's still no release date on that. But the deal is, once that comes, everybody's going to check it out just like a new patch. It'll have that new smell for a little bit. And we'll go, ooh, we can make our own free company airship. And then by a couple of weeks later or months in, everybody's going to burn out again, and that's about it. Everybody will just go back to doing their own little things, and there won't be a reason for us. And that's by design of 14. Because you can use Party Finder and you can use Duty Finder. And it covers you. It's so convenient. There is no need for group content, pretty much. Why would somebody like Fair log on and do his expert roulette outside of just wanting to have friends sit in the party and kind of say, oh, I have free company people with me like Sond or SB or whatever? There's no point, really. He could just log in and pop him out whenever he gets on and just go on and do the rest of his day. He could either play 14 or he could play a PS4 game or something else, or he could sit there and watch anime. There's no reason or rhyme to really be tied down to group obligations in 14. And that's why I'm considering, really strongly considering, the move to expand to a game that actually facilitates and necessitates the need to have a group. The need to do things together. You don't even need a static for Coil. People just Party Finder it by now. Even the final turns and whatnot. Within a week, people were doing that as group. Can't say they're clearing it, but hey, they're doing it. And that just goes to show just how unneeded the game makes everything for group content. It's why we have so many, what I was told by somebody I was describing the free company to. We have what's mostly called transient members. They come, they play, they either like the game or they don't, or they do and they keep playing, but they have no loyalty to the group. They have no reason to swear fealty to the Shadow Bolts, as the group overall, I mean. They're just there for whatever reason we have the group. Because the moment they don't like something, they bail. It's happened before. It's why on Ultros we went from over 40 members overnight down to 7. And then the couple hours later we went from 7 to 3. Which is a story for a different day. Or actually, I'm pretty sure I told that story already, so get up to speed, everybody. But, yeah. So, game like EVE Online, you have to do group events, pretty much. Because that's the only real way to succeed unless you're solo botting, and that's going to get you banned eventually. Because that game is built entirely around groups being a function. 14 on the opposite end is built entirely around appeasing the player. You, the person who is paying the subscription fee, they want to appease you and make you as happy as possible to keep you strung along paying your sub fee. as long as they can. But you're just one person. And that's great. But at the same time, that's like applying single-player logic to an MMO. It's basically like you're paying DLC and using lobbies like Phantasy Star Online or something when you do team up with your free company, or you get random bugs. That's all it really is. I feel I need to make the group something tangible, something people believe in, something people want to be a part of, something that they have to be a part of. And I can't really sell that as a Final Fantasy XIV group, when the game itself is designed where it's not the group, it's the player themselves that can get stuff done. So, might not do Eve, but I'm gonna try to figure out something. The whole reason Eve's kind of fallen through, by the way, is because there was other Shadow Bolts apparently before this guy. Well, this guy got the idea. So, stuff like the ID name bolts on the tag and Shadow Bolts and all that are already taken as group names. So it's a little harder to justify slapping down $15 and starting to build a group up when you don't even know if you can actually get the group name. Because remember, well actually, you guys probably don't know what Eve is. Eve is a persistent universe game where there's no multiple servers. Everybody's on the same server. Everybody is all together. And there's usually 22 to 33,000 worth of players online at any time, all over the world, all existing and persisting at the same time. And it's a sandbox MMO. That means it's player-driven, not, okay, here's the thing with Midgarstormer, he's maybe popping up because the stars say so, you must go and travel the ancient tower of, not ancient, ruins of a airship he destroyed 10 years ago, and oh look, there he is, go poke him to death. Oh look, you're a dragoon doing the victory pump, oh no, he took your light. No, it's not any of that. It's, oh hey, we want to go to this area and we want to hijack some noobs, or we want to kill some people in-game. Or, oh, we just want to go and gather some materials and send it to our factory guy, and he can build us a bunch of new weapons and ships. And it's stuff like that. It's whatever you want. Or you could go, oh hey, I hate such and such person and they're in this group. Let's make them miserable and declare war on their group so we can freely attack them and the NPC cops can't do anything for 1 week. So let's get a fundraiser together to raise 50 million ISK for that. ISK is their version of Gale, by the way. ISK equals risk. And describing it, maybe it does sound more appealing to the casual ear, the person not in the know. And it works out in case of Eve because you level up as you play, but it's in real time. So you're learning skills that would kind of act like agility and strength on your gear, but it's in real time and it's building up specialized skills. So somebody like me, I learned how to fight, but I also learned how to make and build stuff. And I'm a pretty decent level industrialist and miner in that game. Somebody else, they went with combat, a lot of it. Or they might be playing so long that they have combat and recon and stealth abilities and able to pilot giant warships and this and that. And it's just the way the game works. You can specialize and get into the game quick, or you can play forever and just kind of generalize slowly. But it's up to you. And in a game like that, I could go and say, hey, we're going to do a weekly event. Let's get together, we're going to spend an hour or so mining rocks or something in such and such area. And I'd have like combat guys act as security for us, and I'd have the other guys mining, and I would pay everybody out for the payload for what we got that night, and then I'd turn around and invest it in use blueprints and build ships up to make my group stronger. So if somebody, say, got attacked by somebody in PvP because it's got open PvP, then I can replace that ship, and they feel gratitude for being in our group because I can replace something they lost, and they don't have the fear that they're going to lose everything they've worked for. And it's like that. A group like that has much more leg room to stand on than Final Fantasy XIV, where you can just do whatever you want. The only limit to what you can accomplish is what you've actually put the effort into, the time and effort. It's why we have people like Sond and Farah that's completed Ramu EX, and you got people like me that haven't even bothered with King Mogomog EX. Because you can do whatever you want to do, and it's up to you. And the game caters to that. But in a game like Eve, you can slowly do that, but the moment somebody suicide ganks you, or just you take the wrong turn at the wrong place, or the enemy NPCs are actually stronger than you expected in an area, bam, you lost everything. All your time and effort in the game just got sent back a week or 3. Trust me, been there, done that, and I regret every minute of that. But, yeah, long tangent aside, it's stuff like that that has me thinking we need to expand. Not just the 14, but either general or else some kind of game where the group is actually needed. There is a reason for the group to exist. And we'll probably cover that ground eventually. Leadership. I almost considered having a who wants to maybe take charge of the Final Fantasy XIV group thread, but I quickly realized in my head that nobody checks the forums regularly except for me and Graveyard, so nothing would get accomplished. It would sit there empty, I'd get more depressed and upset and angry and do who knows what by that point. So for the moment I defaulted to Fair. Because he came across server, he left Ultras and came over here with me to Fanfreak. He begged me to restart the group, and I did. Because I felt that I made an impact on somebody when they're seeking me out and asking me to go and reopen the group. Like that. So he got the role for now anyway, for seniority. Everybody's telling me, and I'm looking on the site regularly, and he's kind of not popped up anymore. So I don't know if that new added responsibility has scared him off or not. Or maybe he's sick or something. I don't keep track of everybody. Checking the forums right now, checking the site. No, he's not on the chat room. He hasn't logged in since Wednesday, and that was just quick and early. So he's still AWOL. And I don't know, the 14 group, I don't really plan at the moment because of some not going to be spoken about financial issues not related to moving popped up. But I feel that I'm probably not going to generally come back within the next 30 days or so. So instead of letting the server default it to whoever logs in next after my 30 days ends, if I understand correctly. Because I want to say that's how Free Company leadership works. It either goes to the next in line, or else it will go to whoever logs in next after the leader gets automatically stripped. So it kind of just did this to go and ensure that, hey, this guy that would be okay making me the leader again or whatever would get the position. As opposed to, oh, hey, this guy that just joined the entire group now has free reign over it. Oh, look, he completely destroyed the house and disbanded the group or something weird. So that's more of a security measure. No, I did not seek out his permission and asked him in advance or tipped him off. I just kind of did it as a spur of the moment because my sub was about to run out. and I've had many things on my mind in regards to the group. In the perfect world, I'd be sub to 14, of course, and I'd also be sub to the other games, which would be Eve in most cases, just based on what I've said above, and because I have like a 1.5 to 2 year character in it, and that's kind of a big investment for an MMO. But let's see. I'm just looking over my list right now. There's all sorts of stuff. But, just kind of burning out a little on 14. I've been playing a lot of Hyrule Warrior in the last couple of days, this week. Since, in the case of me in 14, to ensure that the group actually survived and to avoid cases like what just happened with Rayma, where, oh no, nobody's on, we lose somebody that we were hoping would become a solid member for us. Just like with Gib, just like with Onion, just like with everybody else. Whenever I'm gone for any period of time, the non-core members just all dive out. So, that was actually part of an experiment of why I said I changed Fair's rank into stand-in leader. So that way everybody understands that he's the guy that's responsible right now. Instead of, oh hey, your leader's not on. No, it's a case of this guy right here has the title stand-in leader. That means that he's the one making the shots and calling everything. And the guy who's titled as Master Leader, Alicorn Overlord, whatever, that guy, he's on break. But, yeah, my experiment clearly went the route that I figured it would, where things kind of just die down, and since I'm not in the free company persistent almost 24/7 like usual, or at least 8 hours a day, during most people's core playtimes, people start generating the thought that, oh no, the group's abandoned and it's time to jump ship. So, yeah, because of that, for the last 8 months or so, I've been playing 14 daily, 4 to 10 hours a day, and I just need a break. Nobody can blame me on that, right? I mean, I don't see anybody else doing that. Where I'm constantly, in my case, I'm always on the site when my computer's on. So I can always message people and chat with them in the chat room and all that. And even when I was doing college work, I'd always be logged into 14 so that it would show that somebody's in the free company and we're not as dead and empty as we really are. I'm sorry that it sounds that bad, but it's the truth. We're not really an active, bustling group on the game. And if I wasn't there, then most times, 9 out of 10 people looking us up would see 0 online out of however many members we had. And that's bad for business. And, I don't know, that just kind of further hammers the nail and all that. Like, I wanted to get people on the site and show that there's some level of commitment and involvement with everybody and make us look appealing to new members overall, not just 14, because, I mean, we are on Equestria Daily now, so we do have traffic because of that. But I mean, it's just not working. I make forum posts, people sometimes look at them, other times they don't. Like, the voting thing I just did for the house, suggestions and all that, that had over, 300 or 400 views. And we only had about 5 members. Not everybody suggested everything or anything. I think we had 2 members that opted out of it. Then came the voting, and we had 700 views for that, if I'm remembering right. And we only had 3 people involved. And, I mean, the more I try to do group stuff, it looks like, to me, the more I try, the more everybody oppresses and pushes back. I mean, like the group goals. That's something I was dead serious in CLM about. And for the first month, everybody said, oh, hey, that's a great idea, let's do it. Then forward to the present, a month later, nobody really commenting or cares anymore. I mean, I look at it, I see it as a leader and as somebody that's investing their personal time and personal money into all this. And I don't know what to make of it. Every time I describe the group to somebody else that's outside of our group, they call us a very poo-poo group. Since, I don't want to say what they said, but that's pretty much the clear way of saying it. We're caca. We are not a good group to people that I describe how we operate to. And the part that always gets me riled up is that I know they're right. But that always drives me to push harder and harder to prove everybody else wrong. To show that we're not a horrible, bad group that really has no reason to exist. That we're not a sinking ship. But I don't know, I blame the 14 deal, where you don't really need a group to do anything. I feel that if I can bring in an Eve kind of group, where we do things together as a core group, and we build up and we have fun and we just enjoy each other's company, which is what I was trying to do in 14. Let's not lie and kid ourselves. That's why we have That's why we have a TeamSpeak 3 and everything else nice and jolly here. But it didn't work out that way. I don't see it ever working out that way. And I think because we're a niche within a niche, that we got people like Chew who found out, oh no, my easy content of hunts got nerfed, I'm not going to play and I'm going to make a stint. And say that I'm not going to play until the next patch hits in 3 or so months. The only reason he bothered to come back was because they started pouring out information about the expansion at JP FanFest. And he suddenly realized, oh wait, I know what the resub button is. And, of course, he bailed on us right after he signed up for the in-game group. So, I mean, yeah, and any other group, that's like joining the football team and saying, oh yeah, I want to do this, and then you get tackled, you realize you don't like getting tackled, and then you just bail. You do that anywhere, you're going to get kicked off the team. That's the way it is. But here, because we're so desperate for membership, I've been coddling people that I normally would just boot out any other time. That's why we finally had to get to the point where I had to kick out people like Tyro and Zero. People that really weren't what I was looking for, but I kept them because we needed membership. And at this point, I need actual members, not people that just log in and say, oh hey, I'm part of the group and I'm gonna do this or that and just be quiet and not do nothing social. To me, playing 14 at this point anymore, because I served it over last weekend, when I was sick and miserable and everybody's doing their lovey-dovey hearts and who's, Valentine's Day, whatnot. And for 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, nobody said a word in Free Company chat. I'm paying money per month to keep a group afloat on a website with a TeamSpeak, as well as paying a monthly sub in an MMO to play a single-player experience. And that's not bueno. So, I don't know. You can't lead the unwilling, pretty much. I can't force people to do what they're not going to do. So, that's kind of an impact there. For the group itself in the future, I'm holding out hope that as the show and whatnot progresses, that we'll actually have membership that's worth having again. that we'll have people pop in and be nice and friendly. That my idea of keeping the site itself open so anybody can join and post on the forums, like a general gaming site normally would do, that actually work out for us. That people will want to pop in and say, oh, hey, let's talk about the show, or, oh, hey, Equestria Girls 3 in full. Oh, hey, the Shadowbolts are the villains in that movie. Oh, hey, free publicity for you guys. Blah, 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 blah. My hope is for that to still be a reality. I want to go in the future, when a new episode hits, I want to go in on Sunday afternoon or so. I want to get people together, have it where we all agree we'd either seen the episode already or else we watch it on Daily Motion in the chat room, video room that I never really let us use anymore. And we all just kind of get our write-up on it. And the deal is that we figure out what we're doing. Well, I mean, I know we know what we're doing in that case. Just gotta get a drink of water. But I mean, we understand what the episode's about, and we just kind of sit and give our impressions and talk about what's going on with the show. Like, they're gonna have a episode with all the Pie family coming up in the future, if I'm remembering right. So it'd be nice and fun to talk about Pinky's antics and more about Maud and stuff like that. It'd be refreshing, enjoyable. It would hammer in the roots and celebrate what binds us together. Because I'm pretty sure if it wasn't for the talking horses on TV being popular, this group probably wouldn't exist under this banner, and I'm pretty sure next to none of us would have bothered meeting any of us. You know, just food for thought. I want to go and I want to hammer in more horse stuff in the future. Right now, that's the only idea I really have that's solid. Talking to Graveyard about it yesterday. He wanted to jump in, but he says he doesn't have mic access. Or he might not have it by that time. So, me being the guy that's always full of ideas and able to quickly figure out ideas, I might go and collect a couple of people's impressions off the forums and just kind of read them off. You know, just short little quibs. And say, da-da-da-da-da, this episode was this, I like that, whatever. And that way it pulls that person in, even though they're not able to participate over voice and on the podcast. Their words, their reason, they still get it out there. And they still get it shared with the group. And I just think that stuff like that's what we need to do. As well as figure out expanding the group to something not just 14. The group has to exist for more than just a game that doesn't facilitate having a group. It never really has. It never really will. You can join a free company and probably get lucky and know that you're going to be doing it with a static set of people on some content till you finally down it. And won't have the fear that it's gonna be hard or anything like that. Or you could do like other people do and still do it and find out your free company is bad. It's still a dice roll. It doesn't matter what group you get. It's just the notion that that seems to be the only real benefit to being in a bigger group. You have more people to fill 8-man content with. And I didn't really have too much more to say on all that. This has turned into a bit of a rant and tangent and whatnot, but it lays everything out. At the end of the day, money and time and investments are involved in all this. And I wouldn't keep investing my time, money, and everything else if I didn't believe in it. But at this point, I need to find something to believe in. Which kind of sounds weird. I believe in the group, I see it having a great future, but I don't see the Final Fantasy XIV part of the group having any real future. And because of that, I feel it's time for change again. To keep the group alive. To get us off what's basically life support. To make us more appealing to everybody overall. I don't know what's going to happen with the BabsCon, since I talked to Graveyard about that, and he said that Fair was going to have designs for him, and they were going to be ready by Tuesday, and here we are Friday, and there's Jack Diddley. It's kind of the same deal about where I told Fair back in August of last year, hey, I could use some art, because we just changed the group over, and I want to make it more pony looking instead of vague looking. And he said, sure, I'll get on it, and then he's saying, oh, I gotta build my PC, and here we are 8 months later, and the guy's got no PC built. And he's not showing any art at all. No DA links, no scans, no phone picture, no nothing. I need people that's committed, that actually pull through, to make this group really shine. I have 120% confidence that Graveyard's gonna do the BabsCon thing, because he's serious about it, and he has a backup plan. Because I've been hounding people about this and saying, if he's gonna do it, we want to make sure that we give him everything in advance so we can discuss it as a group, go over it, everybody gets their say in the matter, and then there's enough time where if something happens, it can still be done. Like right now, they have the, some kind of strike going on the West Coast that's affecting shipping and traveling and whatnot. So, I mean, it could get stuff hold up pretty bad, or... I just want to make sure that whatever we get made up actually gets delivered in time, and if there's any deficiency or something like that, we can turn around and have everything sent back, refixed, and bada bing, bada boom, we're looking good, and we're in the eye of the public, and our people at the convention that would actually be interested in us, they will have a great opinion, and it's just going to be nice and loving, and we'll have new friends, and people to have fun life memories with. But it takes commitment to make that happen. And I don't know if that word scares people in this group or if it just is alien to them. But it's what we need. And I don't really have a proper closing to this. I wanted to talk about the BabsCon thing, which I just did. And looking over my list of stuff... Nope, not really seeing too much. Just, the only thing I didn't talk about was I wanted in the future to have more imagery on the site. But that requires an artist within the group that can actually put out. And, I mean, I just kind of explained the whole deal with Fair. He's a nice guy and all that, but he keeps saying something, and he's pretty much gone into the same territory as Bellaris and aka Tyro and Zero, where you keep saying something, we get it, we hear you. Now show us. Don't say, oh, I'm gonna resub, and that's that, and just show us. Resub. Not keep saying, and it's going on and on and on a month or two later. No, we don't want Stockholm Syndrome, we want actual results. So, bring your A game. Show us. And, yeah, this has been SB. You're listening to the SBC. Not really sure if I'm going to throw a number on this one or not. It's mostly because I missed last week's scheduled one since I was feeling horrible all weekend, and, yeah. That's about it. I'll hear you guys on the next time around. Yeah.